trafficking survivor. A little bit about my history is that I was about 10 years old and my dad left, so I had a single mom. I was raised in a single mom home, and mom wasn't there that a lot because she was working. So I was there a lot alone. I didn't have siblings or anything like that. So basically, when I was 15, I met this boy and I thought, I was going to fall in love, and you know how you get when you're that age. So it's been a while, but I remember. And I thought I did meet the right guy, but I didn't know enough to know that I had really encountered someone very dangerous. And so as time went on and I spent more time with him, I started to see some things and hear some things that were a little frightening. I met up with a doctor that knew him and had told me, you need to get away from him. He's very dangerous, he's a paranoid schizophrenic, and he wants to kill you. So, of course, I got away, I thought. So I went to my house, about a month went by, I didn't think anything about him. I figured he had moved on, and unfortunately he did not. And he had abducted me in my room, and when he abducted me, he took me into the woods for a week. And actually it was in Miami, and I started out 15 years old when I met him. It was a very wooded area behind Doral Country Club at that time. And so he had me for a week, and I can't really describe all the things he did other than to just tell you that it was horrific. And I finally got away from him, and I couldn't go back home because he had abducted me there. He had threatened to kill my mother, so I kind of wanted to stay far away from her. There was no other living relatives there with me at the time, so I ran into the streets. And usually when you run into the streets, you're running from something to something, but you don't really know what you're running to. But I was running away from him, but I did not know that I was running to a trafficker. So what happened basically when I got out there is they call it grooming. You're gonna learn a lot of good stuff from Victor, but he just, told me what I needed to hear. He just told me, I'm gonna, take care of you. You can come with me, stay with me. You'll have food to eat. I thought it was a solution to my problem, So I went with him, and when the door closed, it did not open for 2 years. I became captive in that house. I was guarded by 3 people. I was 16 years old, and they watched me because they make a lot of money off of underage girls, so they didn't want me to get away. So they had different people watching me. I was in a room with a mattress on the floor, and men came in and out of that room and raped me. Before, the way that they initiated me to the whole process, and they seemed to have this pattern, at least with me they did, was when he got me home, he raped me first, and then his friends raped me, his cronies raped me, and then after that, he sold me the next day. So he sold me for, like I said, a very long time. He starved me. It's all part of a control, but also he wanted me to look younger. 16 wasn't good enough. He wanted me to look 13. So, that's how sick the whole thing is, and they're providing to people that are looking for underage children, and of course they have issues themselves. So I was in there, and it was horrible. So what happened after a period of time was I kept desperate. They gave me drugs to subdue me because I fought, and they didn't beat me because I surrendered to whatever they wanted. I saw people that got beatings, and I didn't want to be among them. Plus, I didn't see them getting away after they got the beatings. So I tried to avoid it, but I kicked and screamed, and they just drugged me into a position where I really couldn't make up my mind about anything. There was a lot of coercion, which Vic talks about too, which is, them telling me that I'm a prostitute, them telling me that's my fault, that I did this, that I deserve this. Of course, there are no child prostitutes. There are none. And I wasn't making any money, he was. So, but they wanted to indoctrinate you with all this to make you feel less than and inferior. I'm not worth it. Who cares about me? I'm not important. So that's exactly what it did. It messed with my head about that. And one day I realized that I wasn't. I just realized, he said it one day, and I said, no, I'm not. I said, I don't get anything. I'm in the room, people are, raping me, and I said, you have money for this? I said, so I literally spoke back to him, which is kind of something you don't want to do to a trafficker, but I did. And it was the first time that I actually stood up for myself and said, this is not the truth. This is not who I am. You are doing this to me. So I realized at some point I was a victim, but when I got older, I had kind of put it in the back of my mind. I was watching a presentation similar to something like this, and when I watched it and I saw what the girls were doing and the pimps were doing and how they were being trafficked, I realized that I was trafficked. And so I went to someone and I spoke to them, and they helped me. I got in touch with several people that I did counseling with, several people that walked me through the process, the post-traumatic stress, the memories started all coming back. And they said one thing to me, and they said to me, you can push this in the back of your head and forget it just like you always did, or you can work through it and save someone's life. One person. You can help one person. You can't help anybody if you just bury it. So I thought, well, if I help one person, I said that would be worthwhile. So I went through it, and you see me today, I'm able to talk about it. I did rescue a girl that lived at my dad's farm in Alabama, and after about a year, she ended up marrying a wonderful man. And my life today, like before I got trafficked, during, and now after, it's totally different. I get the pleasure to speak in front of you and to me, it's worth every minute of pain that I went through, every inch of struggle, because people are getting saved today, and they're getting saved because of people like Victor, sometimes myself, or other people, the FBI. There's a whole bunch of people involved in the battle to human trafficking. Human trafficking is bad. It's a criminal offense. It causes a lot of crime and stuff like that, but it's really bad because a lot of people don't know it exists, like Victor says. You don't really see it, but once you get in a workshop like this and you watch the presentation, you're gonna see, oh yeah, this does relate to me. Miami is number 1, Florida is number 3. That alone tells you, but then as you see the presentation and the whole process, you're gonna see that this really involves me, it involves my children, and everyone that I know and love. Because you never know who's gonna get abducted. You never know what girl's gonna run away and why she runs away. I got a lot of problems because I was a teenager and they thought I ran away on my own. Well, I ran away from a bad situation. Some girls are out there, they're running away from, beatings at home, or they're running away from sexual abuse. So there's a reason. And it's not only that, if you see a runaway, it's a girl that just decides she just wants to run away. There's usually a backstory to that. But anyway, I want to thank you for listening. I'm enjoying my life, and I was happily married for 15 years. I work with people like Victor and other people in the business, and they have a heart for it They love what they do. They want to make a difference, and I hope you guys do too.
Thank you.